initially we talked a lot about critical thinking, knowledge, but there's a second part that we need to kind of explore, and that is our awareness. This is the part that tends to scare us. So when we did the definition in the last class, the second part of that definition was awareness or familiarity gained by experience of a fact or situation. So it's the ability to go and perceive something, right? To be conscious of an event, where you're at, to know what's going on. All of that is simplified. Pay attention. Pay attention. Okay. I know. See, you're already not paying attention, right? And we're only into the first slide. It's not that bad. Okay? But what does it mean to have awareness? It means to pay attention, but we don't pay attention. But you think you do. You think you do. Okay? So there are three, we'll call them heads, three forms of awareness. There's internal self-awareness, which most people would describe as mindfulness, right? That's you're aware of your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations, right? You kind of know what's going on with you. Now, I would argue that a lot of people are sort of aware, but they don't really understand. So if I was to ask you, what are your core characteristics that make you who you are? I don't think you'd have them ready to go, but you will later. The second one that you want to do, actually, no, wait, let me go back. Let's see if I can give a better explanation of that. Where you're at in class right now. So you're here in class. How do you feel? Are you tired? Are you hungry? Are you obviously distracted? Okay. Does your butt hurt from sitting in the chairs? Okay. That would be mindfulness. You know what's going on with you. The next one, the one that I think most of the world is ignoring right now, is what I would call external self-awareness. This is the aware of our impact on the environment around us, including other people. So it's not trying to make everybody like you. It's about what message you're putting out to the world if they're perceiving the same message. Okay? So if you want them all to think of you as very caring, right? And you're like, no, I'm a very caring person. But then I go interview all of them and they're like, yeah, I don't see that. Do you understand? You have no external self-awareness. Your mindfulness says, I'm a very caring person. But everybody around you is like, yeah, we don't see that. We're not trying to be mean or anything. We just don't see you doing anything that we would label as caring. So we wouldn't put that as one of your characters. Okay? So if you're here in class and you're over here and you're squirming around in your chair all the time, right? Because you're clearly uncomfortable, right? External self-awareness would make you realize that you're making this person distracted because of all your wiggling around. You're not aware that you're very mindful of your uncomfortable chair, but you're not externally self-aware that you're actually distracting other people with constant movement, including your professor. No, it's not that big a deal. I'm just trying to use it as a point, right? We don't necessarily know what's going on around us and how it's being perceived. But if you pay attention to it, you might actually pick up a lot of subtle cues that you are being distracting, right? Like if they keep looking at you, okay? And then finally, there's situational awareness, okay? That's the focus on the environment around us. So that's, hey, we're here right now in this little classroom. If an earthquake was to happen, where's the door? Where would you go? If a fire broke out, where would you go, right? Those kinds of things. How much light is in here? What color are the rooms? So my favorite one I like to do back when I was a professor was, hey, what color is the car you parked next to when you came to class today, right? Someone who's situationally aware would remember that. And the way I can always point that out is you basically had to turn to not hit them to pull into your parking space. So you looked right at it. So try and go back in your brain and say like, okay, what color was it? And a lot of people can, and a lot of people can't. Your brain saw it, you know your brain saw it, but are you situationally aware, okay? The truth though is somebody who is really at their best, their peak, their apex, their zenith, has all three equally distributed, right? You're a nice little pie graph of internal, external, and situational. What do you think happens when your life gets out of balance? You become only aware of one of them, and the other two are greatly diminished. So if you lean heavily into your mindfulness, what that does is it means that you're not very aware of your impact on everybody else or what's going on around you because you're all about you. You're only looking at you, right? And to make you aware of that fact almost will anger you. I'm not trying to anger you. Or you might be all worried about what's going on with everybody else so that you have nothing actually to you. You don't really know what's going on with you. You're just about everybody else. Or you're afraid of the world, situationally, where you're always about what the world is and it completely takes over your other two. The key is you want to have a balance of all three, but most of us tend to lean in too heavily into one or the other. So let's do a simple example. Right now, I want you to be honest with yourself. How do you consume media? And by media, I mean scroliosis, I mean movies, TV, pad, whatever. Any way you consume that information, right? How do you do it? What's your go-to? Okay. How do you then know that what you're being fed is true? And how much do you know whether it's coercion to get you to do a particular thing? Right? And so you're like, oh, well, nobody coerces me. I know exactly what I'm doing. No, you don't. All the commercials and all of these videos online where people are trying to influence you into a particular direction. If you're following an influencer, the reason they're called an influencer is they're influencing your ability to think. They are either making you aware of something they want you to be aware of, or they are distracting you from being aware of something you should be. But you're being coerced a lot of the time, and you don't even realize it because of how you consume your media, okay? So ask yourself, are you really concerned with being correct, or are you rather, do your habits and the way you spend your time all about trying to support what you want to be true? So if there's a particular angle politically, let's say, for example, that you want to be correct, or are you just going to go listen to people who speak about that in the way that you want them to speak about it? Do you ever go and listen to the other side? And you're like, oh yeah, I know, I listen to the other side. Yeah, but if it's like 90% over here and 10% over here, I mean, like, come on. How much of an impact does that really have? And most of the time, all you're trying to do is disprove them. You're not actually listening to them with an open mind, okay? That's what media is counting on, right? And then the more of it that you do, the more watching and listening creates habits. And these habits support the above. Because at the end of the day, and you've probably heard this a lot of times, everything in life is sales, including your media. All of the media you consume, the reason there's commercials and all this other stuff is it has to be supported financially, which means somebody wants to take your platform and influence other people because you got them in front of somebody else. Everything is sales. So if I'm trying to sell outdoor camping equipment, am I going to go put myself on websites or media groups that are all about living an urban lifestyle? Probably not. Probably the wrong demographic, right? Not really who I want to be trying to influence. I want to influence the people who are more likely to buy my product. So which is yours? And are you aware of that fact? Are you aware of how you're basically giving them all this power to control you because of your interest in, say, backpacking? But then you're going to go down a path that has been specifically designed to do so. If you don't believe me, obviously it's more popular now, but people didn't realize early on in social media is there are algorithms, there are computer programs whose job it is to look at everything and trying to figure out what are you constantly interested in, right? Which platforms do you stay on the longest? Which videos do you look at the most? But here's the crazy part. You teach your algorithm because you then give all your friends and all their information as well. So now the algorithm doesn't just know your patterns, it knows all your friends' patterns and all that, and then it just keeps moving all that in front of you. So it's basically like your whole tribe is telling it exactly how to sell you on stuff because you're giving away all that information with your time and your energy on where this goes. You're just giving this algorithm, these people who want to coerce you, information on how to coerce you willingly with your time and your habits. You're like, that's not how it works. That's 100% that. How do you think all of this gets funded? Right? Come on. Of course it does. It has to happen that way. But you're like, no, I'll blind my eye to it. But if I make you aware of it, you're suddenly like, oh, that's true. I was looking at my phone for 6 hours yesterday. But I'm sure none of it actually interfered with my ability to think rationally about stuff. No, no, of course not. Plus, if you ever use, this is a phrase I hear a lot, you ever gone down a rabbit hole in maybe YouTube or something? Like, oh yeah, I got into this topic and I went down this rabbit hole and you were there for like 6 hours. How did you end up there? How did they get you down that rabbit hole? You didn't just crawl down into the darkness by yourself. You had to be coerced. Come on, here's a little carrot. Here's a little carrot. I know. See, awareness sucks. It's not cool to know this stuff because you realize, oh man, I am sheep. I am a rabbit. I get pulled by this stuff all the time. It's been designed that way, and it's been designed to constantly feed itself to make it harder and harder for you to break free. It's another kind of drug habit, okay? But making you aware of all this, giving you these ideas that your friends, your family, all these tricks and everything that you give yourself, is just making it harder and harder for you to have free thinking, to critically think, to look at other views and perspectives, because it's only going to surround you with the things that you want to hear and the people and the concepts because you've taught it to do so. And then you're like, boy, I think the world's coming apart, because all you ever do is look at things that tell you that the world's coming apart. You're like, no, I look at other things. No, you don't. You really don't. You just think you do because then you feel better. But you're one-sided, okay? So this is kind of a weird thing. I know this is probably a lot for day 2. But at the end of the day, I want you to realize something, and this is kind of silly. So there was a movie called The Naked Gun way back when. I know, the 80s, way back when. But basically, this police detective, he was chasing a criminal in a car, and the car went plowing into a fireworks factory, right? All the fireworks are going off, right? It's a total mess. And what does he have to do? Is he comes out in front, and he starts telling all these crowds that are gathering, he's like, nothing to see here. Nothing going on. Everybody go home. There's nothing here. Is everybody behind him that you can't see, obviously, in the screen, right? Where we're looking at it. What are they thinking? They're like, no, there's a whole fireworks going on. The whole thing is on fire. There were sirens. There's people running everywhere. And he's like, nah, it'll be fine. Don't look at it. It's nothing really there. Do you understand? That's what they're doing to us all the time. You need to be aware that this is happening, that they're just telling you, nothing to see here, don't worry about it. You have to be a little more insightful. So, what does that mean? Are you falling into the sheep versus conspiracy theorist concept? Now, I'm not saying inherently either is wrong, because a lot of you fall into it. Most of us probably fall into it. But you can take it to the extreme. You can do sheep, where you basically do whatever they tell you. Right? I listen to the message, I follow the message. And this could be religion, politics, your family, your teachers, schools, education system. There's a lot of different ways that you can end up sheep. Oh, I just trust them. Like, I've always found that college students will do whatever I ask them to. I used to intentionally teach a topic wrong for like 10 minutes in class that I knew because I had asked them to read the book before. And then I would teach it intentionally wrong, obviously wrong. And they would all write it down like gospel. And then I would come back to them like, anybody feel comfortable about that? And everybody's like, no, it sounds good. Told me, 1, they hadn't read the book. And 2, they never questioned what I was giving them. I'm the professor. I have the PhD. I must be the smartest guy in the room. Everything that I say must be true. Okay? Yes, we want you to follow along. But at the same time, I'm not right in everything. I'm still a human being. So you need to have some critical thinking there. Then you can go to the other extreme, which was where we would basically say conspiracy theorists, where you're trying to find problems in things that may not actually be problematic. Okay. Now, some of them prove to be true, and that's, again, good critical thinking, but you can take it to the extreme. And I think you understand what I mean by that. I'm just trying to give you 2 polar opposites of those 2 concepts. Okay. It doesn't mean that either of them is inherently wrong. I'm just saying they are the polar opposites of one another. Most of us don't want to be all the way to the extreme on anything because it's not generally healthy for us. We need to be something in between. So that's what I'm trying to make you aware of. And that's what conceptually I want you to think of when we go over all the topics, is I'm here to make you aware of concepts that should be common to everybody, like the fact that you're being controlled by your social media patterns. right? They are controlling you. They are feeding you specific things, and you're giving them more and more information to make it easier for them to do so. Okay? So it's important in your life, if you think you're going to break free and not fall into the sheep side of things, is to learn this critical thinking, is to make yourself aware. That means both who you are, that's the mindfulness, both how the people around you are actually perceiving you, not just what you want them to think you are, but what they actually think you are, right? So if you think, again, like if you think you're caring and nobody else sees you as caring, chances are you're probably not caring, you're just trying to project that. And third is situational. Put your head up, get out of the phone when you're driving. Calm down some of the music sometimes and just pay attention to what's going on in the world around you, right? When you go places, put your head up. In a restaurant, put your head up. Look at your friends, look them in the eye, talk to them. Welcome back. Become aware of the world you live in, and you just might realize that there's a lot more information out there that helps you make better decisions with your life. There's nothing to be scared of. Start today.